Okay, so we would be like, what to do? This is really pathetic. Very bad. So, going back. So, let's go back to our question and maybe reconsider everything later. So, Krishna is also known as Rishikesh. Now we know that Krishna is Rishikesh, and Rishikesh means master of all senses. But here something else is written. The senses, the controller of senses, the demigods. Why it is written that the controller of senses is demigod? Yes. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Why it is written? Tell me. Hare Krishna. Why it is written? Yes. Yes, please tell me. At least someone try to answer this. No? No attempt? Good. It's okay. So Krishna is who? ये क्या किया? हरे कृष्णा.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So Krishna is who? Krishna is the master of senses, correct? Krishna is the controller of everything. But Krishna, here it is written, the senses, the controller of the senses, the demigods. It must be something wrong. Yeah, okay, somebody answered. I really am interested to see answer. Krishna is the master of senses. But why it is written? Demigods. I was just talking to one devotee. Krishna is achintaniya. Krishna is achintaniya. Are we live? Yeah, we must be live. Okay. Krishna is achintaniya. We could not understand Krishna through our mental speculation, mental understanding. On the mental platform, if we tried to understand Krishna, we would not be able to. Correct? That is the reason why Krishna does all these things. Why here it is written that demigods are master of senses? It's because there are two platforms. One material platform, two spiritual platform. Our senses are controlled by Krishna only. Our senses are owned by Krishna only. But in this material world, we are not surrendered to Krishna. And therefore, we are in this material world. Now, in this material world, we are guided by someone. We are controlled by someone. Right? Who are those someone? These are elevated personalities, right? Who control this, right? Like Brahma. Brahma is the originator, right? Actually, everything is originates from Krishna alone. But we see Brahma is the originator. Now, for this world, this material world, we always say Brahma is the creator, which is correct. But independently, knowing Brahma and not knowing Krishna is like knowing 10% truth and 90% we do not want to know the truth. Similarly, in this material world, because demigods are in power, Krishna has given responsibilities to demigods. Everything is done by demigods only. Yeah? We see all the time demigods are doing this and doing this. Actually, those are all are done by Krishna alone. But Krishna has shouldered his responsibility to demigods. Yeah, you do this, you do this, you do this. So demigods are doing. So who are controlling our senses? In this material world, because we are in material world, we are governed by demigods. Yeah, actually, it is all uh, controlled by Krishna alone. But superficially, on the surface, it appears like demigods control. So this is very important to understand. This is the reason why we always understand this achintnya bheda abheda. Please make me remember this. We would know more on this in Bhagavatam at 9. We would start with this only. So Krishna is the controller of senses. Yeah. Krishna controls the senses. But demigods control. Demigods, because they are in control in this material world, they control the senses in this material. The senses, the controller of the senses, the demigods, and the acquisition of the knowledge, which is the purpose of the senses, as well as the subject matter of the knowledge, are all you. All are you, right? Thereafter, it is written, all are you, right? Which is indicative of everything is controlled by Krishna. So, yes, there is illusionary energy, which is Maya. Yes, let's continue. Krishna is being glorified. Shweta, you want to continue or should I continue and thereafter
Yes,
you would jump in? Okay, please.
please share screen.
Oh, every time I see the screen and I forget to share the screen. Okay, tab and this is this and this is this. Okay. Hare Krishna, I'm sorry.
In the Bhagavad Gita, this fact is very nicely explained in the ninth chapter, wherein the Lord says, "In my impersonal form, I am spread all over the material energy. Everything is resting in me, but I am not there." This very statement is also given by Vasudev. To say that the Lord is not present everywhere means that he is aloof from everything, although his energy is acting everywhere. This can be understood by a crude example. In a big establishment, the energy or the organization of the supreme boss is working in every nook and corner of the business. But that does not mean the original proprietor is present there. Although in every department the presence of the proprietor is felt by the workers, the physical presence of the proprietor is in every department is a formality only. Actually, his energy is working everywhere. Similarly, the omnipresence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is felt in the action of his energies. Therefore, the philosophy of inconceivable simultaneous oneness with and difference from the Supreme Lord is confirmed everywhere. The Lord is one, but his energies are diverse. Vasudev said, "This material world is like a great flowing river, and its waves are the three material modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. This material body, as well as the senses, the faculties of thinking, feeling, and willing, and the stage of distress, happiness, attachment, and lust, all are different products of these three qualities of nature. The foolish person who cannot realize your transcendental identity above all three material reactions
All these.
continues in the entanglement of fruitive activity and is subjected to the continuous process of birth and death without a chance of being freed. This is confirmed in a different way by the Lord in the fourth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. This is said that anyone who knows the appearance and activities of the Supreme Lord Krishna is freed from the clutches of material nature and goes back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, Krishna's transcendental name, form, activities, and qualities are not products of this material nature. My dear Lord, Vasudev continued, despite all these defects of the conditioned soul, if someone somehow or other comes in contact with devotional service, he achieves the civilized human form of body with developed consciousness and thereby becomes capable of executing further progress in devotional service. And yet, illusioned by the external energy, people generally do not utilize this advantage of the human form of life. Thus, they miss the chance of eternal freedom and unnecessarily spoil the progress they have made after thousands of births. In the bodily concept of life, due to false egotism, one is attached to the offspring of the body, and thus everyone in conditioned life is entrapped by false relationships and false affection. The whole world is moving under this false impression and suffering material bondage. I know that neither of you is my son, both of you are the original chief and progenitor
Progenitor.
progenitor, the personality of Godhead, thus Purusha with Pradhana, but you have appeared on the surface of this globe to minimize the burden of the world by killing the Kshatriya kings, who are unnecessarily increasing their military strength. You have already informed me about this in the past. My dear Lord, you are the shelter of the surrendered souls, the supreme well wisher of the meek and humble. I am therefore taking shelter of your lotus feet, which are alone can give one liberation from the entanglement of material existence.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Once we are surrendered unto Krishna, once we are surrendered to the lotus feet of Krishna, we do not need anything else. Just surrendering to the lotus feet of Krishna is alone is good enough for us to take back home, back to Godhead. We do not need anything else. We need Krishna and nothing else. We just need to realize this fact. The day we understand this fact, the day we are surrendered to Krishna, and how would we be surrendering to Krishna? What is the this one, indication that we are surrendering to Krishna? Once we are surrendering to Krishna, then we would lose attachment to material world. Then we would develop love for God. Then we would keep establishing ourselves into love. Focus our energy, focus our everything onto love. Yeah. Okay. So we may have taken thousands of births. We may have been suffering for generations now. Many yugas. might have come and went. But if we really want to win over all these challenges, we just have one thing, one respite, nothing else: surrendering to the lotus feet of Krishna. Unless we are surrendered to the lotus feet of Krishna, there is no respite. No respite at all. Yeah. So let's continue. Now, for a long time, I have simply considered this body to be myself, and although you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I have considered you my son. Yeah. So Vasudeva is continuing. My dear Lord, at the very moment when you first appeared in Kamsa's prison house, you informed me that you were the Supreme Personality of Godhead and that you had descended for the protection of the principles of religion as well as the destruction of the unfaithful. Although unborn, you descend in every millennium to execute your mission. My dear Lord, in the sky there are many forms appearing and disappearing. You also appear in many eternal forms and then disappear. Who therefore can understand your pastime or the mystery of your appearance and disappearance? Our only business should be to glorify your supreme greatness. So, what we always focus upon. Look, please try and understand. When anyone loves, right, and that love is coming from Krishna alone. But when anyone loves, the only thing that we can do is to surrender. Yeah. So, whenever anyone loves, the only thing that we can do is to surrender. And if we happen to surrender, then we become purified. Yeah. If we do not surrender to Krishna, then we would suffer. Okay. When Vasudeva was addressing the divine son, his divine sons in this way, Lord Krishna and Balarama were smiling. Lord Krishna and Balarama were smiling because they are very affectionate to their devotees. They accepted all the appreciation of Vasudeva with a kindly, smiling attitude. Krishna then confirmed all the Vasudeva's statement as follows: My dear father, whatever you may say, we are after all your sons. What you have said about us is certainly highly philosophical understanding of spiritual knowledge. I accept it in toto, without exception. So Krishna gives his acceptance. Although Krishna is not required to give acceptance, but Krishna gives his acceptance. Vasudeva in his complete perfection of life. Vasudeva was in a complete perfection of life in considering Lord Krishna and Balarama to be his son. But because the sages assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra had spoken about the Lord as the supreme cause of everything, Vasudeva simply repeated it out of his love for Krishna and Balarama. Lord Krishna did not wish to detract from his relationship with Vasudeva as father and son. Therefore, in the very beginning of his reply, he accepted the fact that he is the eternal son of Vasudeva and that Vasudeva is the eternal father of Krishna. After all, Lord Krishna informed he is father of the spiritual identity of all living entities. He continued, My dear father, everyone and everything, including me and my brother Balrama, as well as all the inhabitants of the city of Dwarka, and the whole cosmic manifestation are exactly as you have already explained. But all of us are but all of us are also qualitatively one. So look, this happens all the time. Qualitatively, we are one with Krishna. We are non-different from Krishna. At the same time, we are different from Krishna as well. Now, this has to be taken with a pinch of salt. Often we take example of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. That does not mean I am equating myself with His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, but qualitatively we are one with Krishna. Krishna is Paramatma, we are Atma. Atma in pure form have same qualities as Paramatma. That does not make Atma Paramatma. In pure state, we exhibit the same qualities as Krishna. That does not mean we are Krishna. Yeah. So please always take with a pinch of salt, because non-devotees would mix the two, and they would themselves get confused. They would confuse the world as well. Yeah. Lord Krishna intended for Vasudeva to see everything with a vision of Mahabhagavata, and this is the vision. So a first-class devotee who sees that all living entities are part and parcel of Krishna, and the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart. In fact, every living entity has a spiritual identity, but in contact with material existence, becomes influenced by the material modes of the nature. He becomes covered by the concept of bodily life, forgetting his spirit soul, forgetting that his spirit soul is of the same quality. Look this. Just a minute. There is very good quality in this one. We can highlight. He becomes covered by the concept of bodily life, forgetting that his spirit soul is of the same quality as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One mistakenly consider one individual to be different from another simply because of their material bodily covering. Because of their differences between bodies, the spirit soul appears before us differently. So this word is very important. Mistakenly. So we are non-different. We are non-different. Yeah. Qualitatively, we are same. Lord Krishna then gave a nice example in terms of 5 material elements, the total material elements, namely the sky, air, fire, water, and earth, are present in everything in the material world, whether it is the earthen pot or in mountains or in the trees or in earring. The 5 elements are present in everything in different proportion and quantities. What are these 5 things? Sky, air, fire, water, earth. A mountain is a gigantic form of the combination of these 5 elements, and the small earthen pot is made of these 5 elements but in a very smaller quantity. Therefore, all material items, although in different shapes or different quantities, are of the same ingredients. Similarly, the living entity, beginning from Lord Krishna and including millions of Vishnu forms, and also the living entity in different forms from Lord Brahma down to the small ant, are all of the same spiritual quality. Some are great in quality and some are small. but qualitatively they are of same nature. It is therefore confirmed in the Upanishads that Krishna, or the Supreme Lord, is the chief among all living entities, and that he therefore maintains them and supplies them with all the necessities of life. Anyone who knows this philosophy is in perfect knowledge. Yeah. What is the perfect knowledge? What is this perfect knowledge? Qualitatively, we are same with Krishna. Qualitatively, everything in this world is same with Krishna. Qualitatively, we are born out of 5 material elements. Right? In this material world, we are made out of 5 material elements. The originator is Krishna. And that material body encompasses a spirit soul and Paramatma. Yes? Paramatma resides in the heart of everyone. So, this material body encompasses 2 things, Atma and Paramatma. The Vedic version, Tat Tvam Asi, thou art the same, means not that everyone is God, but that everyone is qualitatively of the same nature as God. Now, those who are Nirvisheshvadi, right, they do not understand this fact. They think ourselves to be God. They think I am God, you are God, everyone is God. Right? Qualitatively we are same, but quantitatively we are not. Just like an earthen pot cannot be a mountain, but earthen pot and mountain can be seen as same in terms of quality, which is completely correct. After hearing Krishna speak the entire philosophy of his spiritual life in the abbreviated summation, Vasudeva was exceedingly pleased with his son being thus elated. He could not speak but remained silent. In the meanwhile, Devaki, the mother of Krishna, sat by the side of his husband. Previously, she had heard that Krishna and Balarama were so kind to their teacher that they had brought their teacher's dead son from the clutches of superintendent of the death, Yamraja. Since she had heard of the incident, she had also been thinking of her own sons who were killed by Kamsa. Her own sons who were killed by Kamsa. And while remembering that, she was overwhelmed with grief. Out of compassion for her dead sons, Devaki appealed to Lord Krishna and Balarama thus: My dear Balarama, your very name suggests that you give all pleasure and all strength to everyone. Your unlimited potency is beyond the reach of our minds and words. And my dear Krishna, you are the master of mystic yogis. I know that you are the master of Prajapatis, like Brahma, and his assistants. And you are the original personality of Godhead, Narayana. I also know for certain that you have descended to annihilate all kinds of miscreants who have been misled in the course of time. They have lost control of their mind and senses and have fallen from the quality of goodness and have deliberately, this is important, and have deliberately neglected the direction of the revealed scripture by living a life of extravagance and impudence. Look, anyone who falls down, they do not fall down because of some circumstance. Look, intermediate, there could be some setbacks, and those setbacks would be test of Maya. Maya must be busy taking some test, and this is completely fine. Maya can take any number of tests, but no one falls down permanently. Anything except for their own misdeeds, deliberately neglected. Yes. So if we think to go against Krishna, then these things would happen. Okay. So yeah. Deliberately neglected the direction of the revealed scripture by living a life of extravagance and impudence. You have descended on the earth to minimize the burden of the world by killing such miscreants, my dear Krishna. I know that Mahavishnu, who is lying in the causal ocean of the cosmic manifestation, who is the source of the whole creation, is simply an expansion of your plenary portion. The creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this cosmic manifestation are effected only by your plenary portion. I therefore take shelter of you without reservation. Now, this is very important. I therefore take shelter of you without any reservation. Now, please try and understand. How should we be taking shelter of Krishna? Should we be taking shelter of Krishna only because of this, only because of that, only because of that? Look, we may know a lot of facts, but once we have taken shelter of Krishna, we should be indifferent about anything happening. Worse may happen to me, but I would not leave the lotus feet of Krishna. Whatever Krishna wants to do with me, he may do. Krishna has full right over me. He can do whatever he wants to. I won't resist. That's the attitude. That's the attitude. I therefore take shelter of you without reservation. I have heard that when you wanted to reward your teacher, Sandipani Muni, and he asked you to take back, he asked you to bring back his dead son, you and Balrama immediately brought him from the custody of Yamraja. Although he had been dead for a very long time, by this act I understand you to be the supreme master of all mystic yogis, and I therefore ask you to fulfill my desire in the same way. In other words, I am asking you to bring back all my sons who were killed by Kamsa. Upon your bringing them back, my heart will be content, and it will be a great pleasure for me just to see them once. After hearing their mother speak in this way, Lord Balrama and Krishna immediately called for the assistance of Yogamaya and started for the lower planetary system known as Sutala, formerly the incarnation of Vamana. The Supreme Personality of Godhead had been satisfied by the king of demons, Bali Maharaj, who donated him everything he had. Bali Maharaj was then given whole of the Sutala for his residence and kingdom. Now when this great devotee Bali Maharaj saw that Lord Balrama and Krishna had come to his planet, he immediately merged in an ocean of happiness. As soon as he saw Lord Krishna and Balrama in his presence, he and all his family members stood up from their seats and bowed down at the lotus feet of Lords. Bali Maharaj offered Lord Krishna and Balarama the best seat he had in his possession, and when both lords were seated comfortably, he began to wash their lotus feet. He then sprinkled the water on his head and the heads of the family members, uh, heads of his family members. The water used to wash the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and Balarama can purify even the greatest demigods, such as Lord Brahma. After this, Bali Maharaj brought valuable garments, ornaments, sandalwood, pulp, betel nut, lamp, and various nectarian foods. And along with his family members, he worshipped the lords according to the regulative principles and offered his riches and body onto their lotus feet. King Bali was feeling such transcendental pleasure that he repeatedly grasped the lotus feet of lotus feet, Lord's lotus feet. Um, uh, Let me tell you in advance, I am thinking to complete this chapter. If we overshoot by 5, 7, 10 minutes, I would continue. Okay. Grasped the Lord's lotus feet and kept them on his chest, and sometimes he put them on the top of his head. In this way, he felt transcendental bliss. Tears of love and affection began to flow from his eyes, and all his body hairs stood on the end. He began to offer prayers to the Lord in a voice which choked up intermittently. My dear Lord Lord Brahma, you are the original Antadeva, Anantadeva. You are so great that Anantadeva, Shesha, and other transcendental forms have originally emanated from you. And you, Lord Krishna, are the original personality of Godhead with an eternal form that is so blissful and full of complete knowledge. You are the creator of the whole world. You are the original initiator and the propounder of the systems of Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. You are the Supreme Brahman, the original personality of Godhead. I therefore, with all respect, offer my obeisances unto both of you, my dear lords. It is very difficult for the living entities to see you, to get to see you. When you are merciful upon your devotees, you are easy for them to see. As such, only out of your causeless mercy have you agreed to come here and be visible to us, who are greatly influenced by the qualities of ignorance and passion. Yeah. So wherever Krishna is not there, ignorance and passion is there, and this Bali Maharaj is saying that we would come out of our ignorance and passion if you are there. Shuddha Sattva. My dear Lord, we belong to the Daitya demon category, the demons or demoniac persons, the Gandharva, the Siddhas, and the Vidyadhara, and the Charanas, and the Yakshas, the Rakshasas, the Pishachas, the ghosts, and the hobgoblins are by nature incapable of worshipping you or becoming your devotees. Instead of becoming your devotees, they are simply impediments on the path of devotion. But you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, representing all the Vedas, and are situated in the mode of uncontaminated goodness. Your position is always transcendental. For this reason, some of us, although born in the modes of passion and ignorance, have taken shelter of your lotus feet and have become devotees. Some of us are actually pure devotees, and some of us have taken shelter of your lotus feet because we desire to gain something from devotion. So out of wrong emotions too, we have started doing bhakti. But once we start doing bhakti, we should not have any wrong emotions. By your causeless mercy, only we demons in direct contact, we Only are we demons in direct contact with your personality. This contact is not possible even for the great demigods. No one knows how you act through your Yogmaya potency. Even demigods cannot calculate the expanse of the activities of your internal potency. So, how is it possible for us to know it? I therefore place my humble prayers before you. Please be kind to me, who am fully I am fully surrendered unto you, and favor me with your causeless mercy, so that I may simply remember your lotus feet birth after birth. My only ambition is that I may live alone like the Paramhansas who travel alone here and there in great peace of mind, depending simply upon your lotus feet. I also desire that if I have to associate with anyone, I may associate only with your pure devotees and no one else. For your pure devotees are always well wishers of all living entities. My dear Lord, you are the Supreme Master and the Director of the whole world. Please, therefore, engage me in your service, and let me thus become free from the material contamination. You can purify me in that way, because if someone engages himself in the devotional service of your lordship, he is immediately freed from all kind of regulative principles enjoined in the Vedas. So he is not required to do any regulative principles. He does not have to follow anything. He just have to surrender onto Krishna and done. The word Paramhamsa mentioned here uh, means the supreme swan. Swan is Hansa. Uh, it is said that the swan can drink milk from a mixture of milk and water. It can take only the milk portion and reject the watery portion. Similarly, a person who can draw out the spiritual portion of his material world, from this material world, who can live alone depending upon the supreme spirit, not on the material world, is called a Paramhansa. When one achieves the Paramhansa platform, he is no longer under the regulative principles of the Vedic injunction. A Paramhansa accepts only the association of pure devotees and rejects others uh, who are too much materially addicted. In other words, those who are materially addicted cannot understand the value of Paramhansa, but those who are fortunate, who are advanced in a spiritual sense, take the shelter of the Paramhansa and successfully complete the mission of human life. After Lord Krishna heard the prayers of Bali Maharaj, he spoke as follows: My dear king of the demons, in the millennium of the Swambhuva Manu, the Prajapati, known as the Marichi, begot 6 sons, all demigods, in the womb of his wife Urana. Uh, Once upon a time, Lord Brahma became captivated by the beauty of his daughter and was following her, impelled by sex desire. At this time, these 6 demigods looked at the action of Lord Brahma with abhorrence. This criticism of Brahma's action by the demigods constituted a great offense on their part, and for this reason they were condemned to take birth as the son of the demon Hiranyakashipu. These son of Hiranyakashipu were thereafter put in the womb of Mother Devaki. Uh, 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 as soon as they took birth, Kamsa killed them one after another. My dear king of the demons, Mother Devaki, is very anxious to see these 6 dead sons once again, and she is very much aggrieved on the account of their early death and at the hands of Kamsa. I know that all of them are living with you. I have decided to take them with me to pacify my mother Devaki. After seeing my mother, all 6 of these conditioned souls will be liberated, and thus, in great pleasure, they will be transferred to the original planet. The names of these 6 conditional souls are as follows: Ismara, Udikta, Parish, Shravanga, Patanga, Shudra Bhrit, Greeny, and Greeny. They were reinstated in the former position as demigod. After thus informing the kings of Demon, Krishna stopped speaking, and Bali Maharaj understood Lord's purpose. He duly worshipped the Lord, and thereafter Lord Krishna and Lord Balrama took away the six conditioned soul and returned to the city of Dwarka, where Lord Krishna presented them as little babies before his mother Devaki. Mother Devaki was overwhelmed with joy and was so ecstatic in motherly feeling that milk immediately began to flow from her breast, and she fed the babies with great satisfaction. She took them on her lap again and again, smelling their heads and thinking, I have gotten my lost children back. For the time being, she was overpowered by the energy of Vishnu and greatly motherly affection. She enjoyed the company of her lost children. The milk from the breast of Devaki was transcendental nectar because the same milk had been sucked by Lord Krishna. As such, the babies who sucked the breast of Devaki, which had touched the body of Lord Krishna, immediately became self-realized person. The babies therefore began to offer their obeisances onto Lord Krishna and Balrama, their father Vasudev, and the mother Devaki. After this, they were immediately transformed to their respective heavenly planets. After they departed, Devaki was stunned with wonder that her dead children had come back and had again been transferred to their respective planets. She could adjust the events only by thinking that Lord Krishna can perform anything wonderful in his pastimes because his potencies are inconceivable. Without accepting the unlimited potencies of the Lord, one cannot understand Lord Krishna. This is very important. Without accepting the inconceivable, unlimited potency of the Lord, one cannot understand that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Soul. By his unlimited potencies, he performs unlimited pastimes, and no one can describe him in full, nor can anyone know them all. Suta Goswami, speaking Srimad Bhagavatam before the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by Shaunaka Rishi, gave his verdict in this connection as follows. Great sages, please understand that the transcendental pastime of Lord Krishna are all eternal. They are not ordinary narration of historical incidents. Such narration are identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. Anyone, therefore, who hears such narrations of the Lord's pastime is immediately freed from the contamination of material existence, and those who are pure devotees enjoy this narration as nectar entering into their ears. Such narrations were spoken by Suta Goswami, the exalted devotee of the Vyasadeva, Suta Goswami, the exalted son of Vyasadeva, and anyone who hears them, as well as anyone who repeats them for the hearing of others, becomes Krishna conscious, and only the Krishna conscious persons are eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport for the 85th chapter of Krishna, the spiritual instruction of Vasudeva, and the return of six dead sons of Devaki by Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. So this is how we end Krishna book. I think we do not have any time left for explanation. Everything was self-evident, and it was very, very clear text that we learned today. So let's do Vaishnav Pranam Mantra, and if anyone has any question, we may take this question later on. Yes. So let's do Vaishnav Pranam Mantra. Anyone who wants to do, or should I continue?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please.
Panchakapatarumpascha
वाञ्छकल्पातरुभ्यश्च
कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च
कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय। हिज डिवाइन यशोदा प्रपात की जय। भगवद गीता की
जय
जय। श्रीमद् भागवतम की
जय
जय। सभी भक्तों की
जय।
जय। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे
हरे
राम
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 हरे
राम
राम
हरे
राम
हरे।
राम
हरे
हरे हरे।
कृष्णा
हरे कृष्ण
कृष्णा
हरे
कृष्णा
कृष्ण
हरे
कृष्ण
हरे,
कृष्ण
हरे
हरे हरे।
राम
हरे
राम
राम हरे राम
हरे
राम
हरे।
राम
हरे
हरे हरे।
कृष्णा
हरे कृष्ण
कृष्णा
हरे कृष्ण
कृष्णा हरे
कृष्ण
हरे,
कृष्ण
हरे
हरे
राम
हरे।
हरे
हरे राम हरे
हरे
राम
हरे।
हरे
Hare
हरे।
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, everyone. Yeah. Many thanks for everyone to join in. And yeah, if you have any question, we may take any question that you may be having, or else let's end this. Should we end? Yes. Okay. Then many thanks for every one of you to join in. Please keep on joining. Please keep on chanting. Please keep on taking names of Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining in. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Many thanks. Hare Krishna. Anyone, still anyone has any question, then I am it. No, right? Okay. So let's end this. I'm stopping the live stream. Thereafter, yeah, we will tell you. Okay. Thank you everyone.